What is up, everyone? Welcome back. Today we're going to be scrubbing the dirt off of this filthy 250 SX. So today's dirt bike model, 2017 250 SX. I just had a killer ride on it yesterday. I have several tips and tricks that I personally like to use that go well beyond removing dirt and will keep it working properly between service intervals. So admittedly, my bikes get more care and attention than I probably give myself in the shower, but it doesn't matter. The thing looks amazing every time. So in order to get started, you're gonna need a few things. These things are specific to the way that I like to clean my bike. You may not need all of them, but here we go. First up, I like to use Dawn dish soap. It's very gentle, but it gets the grease off. Keeps all of your finishes looking good instead of some other harsh chemicals or cleaners, so it's always a safe bet. I figure if they're cleaning oil off animals at the beach with it, it's probably okay for my motorcycle. Next up, and this is a trick from one of the greatest givers we've ever had on YouTube, Cameron Niemela, this mag wheel cleaner. I'm gonna link this in the description below. Actually, I'm gonna link Cam's video in the description below. Show you where I saw this a few years ago. It works really great on cast parts. You're not gonna wanna get this on a lot of other things because it is rather harsh, but I'm gonna show you in the video how to use it. If your bike has a works pipe or a raw finish, you're gonna want something a little more abrasive than a standard wash rag. Something like this Scotch-Brite works great. You'll be using this WD-40 when you're done washing your bike to help protect your raw pipe. You'll also need this fork oil and these rags. I'll show you why soon. Go ahead and grab your favorite butt plug, some duct tape, last but not least, SC1 spray, and a microfiber cloth. Let's get scrubbing. Alright, so first things first, the butt plug. I don't know why, but these things seem to keep coming up in my videos. So next up, we're going to bust out our duct tape. And a lot of bikes have a vent hole right here that leads into the air box, so the air filter can pull in air. If you start washing your bike without this hole duct taped, you're going to have a lot of water entering your filter and therefore probably your intake tract. A lot of guys wash it, leave those open, go ride the next day, and guess what? There's water in your bike. With KTMs, they don't actually have a vent hole here, but the 16 through 18 model does have a gap here, and also a lot of water gets in under the seat. Every single time, no matter how well I tape this bike, water still gets to the filter, and every time I pull the filter, there's water inside the intake tract. So I'll show you that later, but for now, let's get this thing taped off. On this KTM, the 19 and up body style, save for the vented number plate you can now get, guys were drilling their air boxes. I chose to drill mine here, so this is something I'm going to put duct tape on. Alright, so I'm going to start out with a pressure washer. This isn't absolutely necessary, but I like to use it on the plastic underneath the bike, the tires, anywhere I can't really get a brush. You absolutely do not want to spray this anywhere on your engine, carburetor, EFI, electrical, bearings, or what have you. It could lead to problems down the road. I am going to switch over to a regular hose pretty soon, but to get the bike wet and to peel some of the heavier stuff off, I'll start with a pressure washer. Alright, we got most of the heavy stuff off with the pressure washer. Time to start sudding her up with some Dawn dish soap. Also, this is when I'm going to switch away from the pressure washer and go back to a regular garden hose type sprayer. I tend to go in sections with the bike. For example, I'll start soaping down all the plastics in the body, then rinse the rag, then soap it back up, move to the engine, rinse it out, soap it back up, move on to the wheels, rinse it out, then soap it back up and move on to the suspension. All right, now that we got the dirt off of this pig, we have 3 things to do. We need to clean the fork and shock shafts, very specifically with a clean rag, very important. Then we're gonna hit all the cast aluminum parts with this etching spray. You do not want to leave this stuff on too long, and you do not want to put it on anything that isn't cast aluminum. Trust me. You'll be amazed at how well this stuff brightens aluminum. If you have old dirty radiators or a YZ250 with the aluminum frame, give this a try. You will not be disappointed. Cameron, thanks for the tip. Third thing is to hit that pipe with the Scotch-Brite and get it shining again. Make sure not to let this stuff sit too long, and again, only get it on cast aluminum parts. It's not going to hurt or destroy anything right away, but any sort of prolonged usage on the anodized parts will be very bad over time and really kill the luster. You want to rinse this stuff off as soon as possible, and you want to use a lot of water to heavily dilute it and make sure all of it's gone and not sitting on anything that you care about. Now this cylinder didn't look bad at all to begin with, but look at it now. It is so bright and so shiny. I'm gonna go ahead and do the swing arm next. Stuff works so good. Next step, we're gonna hit the pipe. You can probably see there's a bit of a yellow tinge to it. We're gonna go ahead and grab the Scotch-Brite and start working on this thing. This will get it nice and shiny, and when you're done with it, all done drying, I'm gonna show you how to protect it. Alright, so as you guys can see, it's quite a bit different up here than it is down here where I haven't gone yet. So I'm going to go ahead and keep Scotch-Briting this pad, get it looking good. We're going to move on to the suspension after that. Alright, so all of our aluminum parts are looking good, pipe's looking good. We're going to go ahead and move on to the suspension. When you wash the fork and shock shafts, you want to make sure you have a very, very clean rag. Be sure to suds it up quite a bit too. The idea is we're getting all the contaminants away that are stuck to the dust seal to keep your fork seals alive. And there's a step 2 to this process that we're going to do when the bike's dry. Alright, so taking the clean rag, I like to weave it through the front, just at the top of the fork guard. I like to go ahead and shimmy this thing down, making sure to get all the dirt that's trapped down below here at the bottom, and especially up here on the dust seal. The UPS guy just pulled up. I think he has my Metro Lakes engine stand. Hey, what's up, man? Good. I'll take it. Oh yeah, UPS always bringing me a big box of smiles. Oh, Nick, that thing weighs a ton, man. All right, so the 250SX is looking a lot better. We got all the gunk off of her. Time to roll her inside, get into some more tips and tricks. Alright, so at this point, we've blown most of the water off with the air compressor. I'm going to hit it with a dry towel real quick just to pick up any residual moisture. And then we got to jump onto that pipe because, believe it or not, it's already started to rust a little bit. It's only been about 5 minutes, but that's where the WD-40 comes in handy. Alright, so this stage of the game, you need your WD-40, you need some towels, some gloves as well. We're going to go ahead and oil up the pipe, keep it protected. Any water that drips on it from here on out won't make it rust. Once you've gone back inside, it should be shining and looking brand new. Next up, chain lube. You want to get all the water that you can driven out of your chain. I like to leave a rag on the floor, just at the end of the chain guide also, because a lot of this stuff starts to drip out and it's just nicer than getting it all over the shop floor. Alright, so this next trick is one of my all-time favorites. It has to do with a little fork oil, rag. You're going to want to fold the rag into threes like so. Dab a little bit of oil all over the floor and onto the rag. And go ahead, and after you fold it in threes, tuck it behind your fork guard here. Shimmy this down your fork tube. We're going to do the same thing to the shock shaft. And what this does is take all of the dried water spots that would have otherwise been on your fork tubes and make them go away. So what happens is you'll wash your bike, you'll stick it back in the shop, you'll go to ride it next time, you've left water droplets all over your fork tube. These are basically little calcium deposits. And over time, going in and out of the fork seal, they're going to make the seal fail. I'm going to show you how many hours I have on these stock 2017 fork seals in just a second. So easy. Alright, same thing. Go ahead and sneak your rag into the shock shaft area and go ahead and just give this shock shaft a nice oil down, and that's really all it takes. Alright, so the reason I love that trick so much is that these are the stock fork seals and the stock shock seal head in this bike since I bought it brand new. It's been through Idaho silt, deserts, motocross tracks throughout Idaho and California. These seals and the shock shaft seal have never failed. Check out how many hours are on these stock seals. 77.1 hours. That's pretty remarkable. So a little extra effort goes a long way. I do this every time I wash any bike I have. Like I said, they get pampered down pretty hard. It takes a little bit longer, but if you're willing to do it, you're going to keep your bike out of the shop, or you're not going to have a fork seal fail on you randomly, or you're not going to come out in the garage one day and see oil all over the ground because you blew a fork seal. It just works, and I hope you guys try it. So as promised, I'm going to show you guys how much water actually gets into your bike despite taping off the airbox holes or vents you may have. Any dirt you can get off around the filter before you remove it is also hugely beneficial to keeping stuff out of where you do not want it to go. Water comes in from underneath the seat, seeps through the filter, and goes right into the intake tract. Every single time I pop my filter off after a wash, there's water in there. I like to spend a minute cleaning everything up before I get in there with a new clean rag to get the water out. Make sure to wipe away from the airbox opening. So let's see if we can lock in on some of what gets in there. So as you can see, there's a little bit of water, oil, and gas, or premix, mixed together right there, sitting right in the bottom of the intake tract. Your bike would probably gobble this up, no problem, but if you have the chance to get it out, why wouldn't you? Just be sure to use a new rag when you clean the airbox out, and every time you pull the rag out of the airbox, check it for debris, flip the rag over if need be, and make sure you're not adding to the problem in there. Finish up with a fresh air filter. Never a bad idea to log your service intervals as well. Next time you can't remember when a specific service was performed, all you have to do is look at the book. The last step in this process, the SC1 spray. So overall, the bike's in great shape. The graphics are fairly new, but there's some things on this bike being original that are just pretty worn out, and the SC1 spray really helps with that. First up would be, I have some frame rub right here. Places like that, boot rub, all you gotta do, Bring it back to life. Let's find some other dull spots. Graphics only have 3 rides on them, but as you can see, glossy in the front, pretty tore up in the middle from the braces. No problem. Give it a little spray. Another area that gets hammered down pretty badly are your fork guards. Try not to get this stuff on your rotor, although it's not going to hurt it like an oil would. Go ahead and give everything a quick spray. Looking new again. What's next? These radiator louvers are getting pretty old. They're original. I like to give them a little spray. Darken them up. You don't want to get this stuff on your seat unless you want to slide right off the back the next time you ride. I like to hit this plastic engine cover here. It is pretty beat up from the tip of my boot. Go ahead and do the frame guard again on this side. A chain guide, or slider rather, and the guide in the rear. How could I forget the mud flap? Now that she's good and oiled down, take the microfiber, simply wipe off the excess. So there you guys have it. At this point, your bike's looking amazing. It's ready for the next ride. I do want to touch on some things though, however. Just because you picked up a new trick oiling your fork and shock shafts doesn't mean the parts inside are going to last forever. There's several wear components inside that need to be serviced. So be sure to keep up on your service, even if you use your old fork seals and your original seal head, and everything will be just fine. So, as a quick recap, install your butt plug. Be sure to tape the holes in your airbox closed. Wash your bike. Spray Etching mag wheel cleaner only onto cast aluminum parts. Change your filter because it got wet anyway. Lube your chain to expel any water. Protect your raw finish pipes with WD-40. Add SC1 to all your beat up parts and plastics. After that, there's only one thing left to do. Subscribe.